Because they were going to Montreal, I think, 4 times a year at that point or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And so Kevin said to Shawn, Vince wants some kind of a hot finish so we can do a return. Shawn said, fuck what Vince McMahon wants. He said, and again, this took place. It wasn't like I was hearing this like over a cell phone, like the Holmes said with the president the other day. I was watching it and listening to it right in front of me, and he said, "Fuck what Vince McMahon wants." And Kevin started, saying the right thing. He said, "Well, if I beat him clean, I can't really do a return." And Shawn, Bo, look it up, because Kevin's so damn big. He said, let me ask you a question. When you worked with the champion, did you put the champion over clean here? And he said, well, yeah, but he goes, no buts. He said, fuck what Vince McMahon wants. He said, beat this piece of shit. He kept going, jackknife, 1, 2, 3. He kept doing it over and over again. So he turns to walk out, and as Shawn's walking out, pulls the door open, Carl's walking in. And it was my first eye-opening thing, because Shawn had just been talking shit on Carl, who's a pretty good kid with his hands, pretty tough.
Wouldn't back down.
No, for sure, for damn sure. And opens the door and he sees, hey, Carl, how you doing? It becomes instant friend, right? So I'm wondering, well, that's strange. And so he comes walking in. Now Shawn looks like he's walking out, whichever side Carl's blind on. Shawn walks out the door and then comes right back in, and he's standing behind Carl on his blind side. So now imagine what I'm seeing. Here's Kevin. Here's Carl, and right behind Carl is Shawn pantomiming to Kevin what to say. So I'm watching this, and Carl says, so what do you want to do tonight, Kevin? And he goes, well, and meanwhile, Shawn's behind him going, pantomiming it. So I'm watching this, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here, And finally, Kevin sheepishly, after several minutes going back and forth, Kevin said, I don't know, I was thinking maybe just like a jackknife. And Carl goes, no, we can't do a jackknife. Vince needs a some hot finish. And Shawn turns and leaves. So I was going to get a draw. So I walk up to one of the other dressing rooms up above, and I walk in, and Carl, as I was leaving, I heard Carl say, let's go talk to the agent. So they're walking behind me. So I walk into the room waiting to talk to the agent to get my draw, and Shawn says, excuse me, everybody, excuse me. Can I have your attention, please? My name's Shawn Michaels. They call me the Heartbreak Kid. He goes, this is Carl Lillet. They call him Pierre. He said, Pierre here has a problem doing a job for a champion tonight. And Carl goes, Shawn, what are you talking about? I don't have a problem doing a job. And he goes, no, we already heard what you said. And, now Carl starts to move into, and everybody, of course, starts pulling him apart. So that night after the show,
it was a double DQ or something.
Some crap finish, and we were at the Days Inn. The Clique walks in, and they're down the other end of the hall from us. So they tapped me on the shoulder. Who did I can't recall, but one of them tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, we're in room whatever. We ordered pizza and beer. Come on down. We want to talk to you." So now remember, in NWA, I had been traveled with and friends with Scott. In WWF in 1990, me and Shawn were close friends, I thought. In fact, Shawn and Marty and me and Dustin Rhodes, everybody called us the Four Amigos. So, and I knew Hunter from the NWA a little bit. I didn't really know X-Pac. Knew Kevin a little bit from the NWA. So I had no reason not to go down there. And I walked into the room, and I can remember Kevin was laying on the bed, and everybody else was milling about the room. And they said, what do you think about the shit that happened in the building tonight? I said, what are you talking about? They said, with Carl. I said, well, he made sense. I said, you do a clean job, you can't do a return. And Shawn goes, see, I told you, everybody, Shane understands the business. And then he starts to proceed to tell me how things are different in the WWF. And so, I knew enough not to say anything more. I just started listening, and they all started ramping up, like how they could reseat Carl. All because Carl wanted to do what the boss, the guy that owns the company, said they would do. And he was right. You do a clean finish, you're done, no return. So they all started like, we should, do this to him, we should do that to him. Kevin picked the phone up and started dialing the phone. He goes, I know, I'm just going to call Vince and tell him to fire him. And to this day, I can't remember which one did which.
They had that much power back then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this was. My first thought, I think, in hindsight, was they're working me, to make me think they have this much power. And Shawn, it was, Hunter stayed out of it, X-Pac stayed out of it, other than a few comments here and there. Either Shawn or Scott went over and hung the phone up and said, no, let's think about this for a while. And they started ramping up again, getting stiffer and stiffer. Finally, whichever one didn't hang the phone up, because one did one and the other did the other, said, I got it. Let's call Vince and tell him to starve his fucking ass for 3 years. And I remember thinking to myself, I felt like I was watching a woman being raped. I wanted to get out of it and go take a shower. It was so disgusting to me. As these guys that are being flown first class, picked up in limousines, making money out the ass, as guys like Carl who are schlepping it, you've been there and done it, driving hundreds of, sometimes thousands of miles, crammed in the middle seat in the back of the plane, making an okay paycheck. And they want to starve this guy who has a family because he wants to do what the boss that owns the company said to do. To this day, it
send them
repulses
to
me.
Memphis too, didn't they?
That's right.
And where they were hardly paying people anything.
That's correct.
Like the rest of you, I'm gonna set everything on fire!